My mother did not even pause her carving knife when she said it. Your sister's family will always come first. You are always last. My father nodded like he was giving the weather report, not delivering a verdict on my life. I did not argue. I did not cry. I just looked at both of them and said, good to know. That was the exact second something hard and clean clicked into place inside me. I stopped waiting for a place at their table. I pulled my money back, my time back, my plans back. Separate life. Separate future. No more pretending I was part of a system that had already ranked me at the bottom. And just when the quiet between us finally started to feel clean, when my life felt like mine, the family emergency hit them harder than any of us expected. They came to my door together. And they really thought I would just open it and fix everything like I always had. I grew up in a house where the walls carried a quiet ranking system. You could hear it in footsteps. When Leia came home, voices rose, chairs scraped, doors opened. When I walked in, the sound dimmed a little, conversations found a lower gear, someone checked the time like they had somewhere better to be. No one ever said the rules out loud. They did not have to. The hierarchy lived in small things. When Leia turned 16, the whole driveway glowed. My parents had parked a new car under the streetlight, red paint catching every shimmer. They stood beside it, waiting with a camera already in hand. I watched from the upstairs window while they handed her the keys. My mother's voice cut through the cold air, sharp with pride. Your future is worth investing in. 6 months later, on my 16th birthday, the kitchen light hummed over a small store cake. No candles. No car waiting outside. Just my father sliding a simple card across the counter. We're proud of you, it said, in printed letters someone else designed. I smiled anyway. I knew the script. Leia got the spotlight. I got the quiet nod. College followed the same pattern. Leia received checks for tuition, for books, for the apartment near her campus. I got a speech about responsibility and the satisfaction of earning my way. You're independent, my mother said. Like it was a personality flaw I had chosen. You manage fine. So I did. I stocked shelves in the early morning. I wrote code for small freelance projects at night. I lived on cheap meals and cheap coffee. Every spare dollar went into a savings account with my name on it. Community college first. Anything else second. On my last shift at the grocery store before fall semester, I remember staring at the break room fridge. Someone had taped up a picture from their family vacation. Beach, umbrellas, sunburned shoulders, arms thrown over each other. Leia had entire albums like that. Trips, birthdays, weekends away. She filled frames and stories. I realized I did not have a single family photo after age 13 where I was not pushed to the edge of the frame, like I had wandered into someone else's life by accident. Graduation day for my associate degree came and went. My parents were out of town that weekend. Leia's baby shower. My mother had sent me a text the week before. We will be busy that day. You understand. I crossed the stage alone. My name echoed through a hall full of strangers. The applause felt polite, distant. Afterward, I went outside, sat on a low stone wall, and called home. My mother answered between errands. That is wonderful, honey, she said. I could hear chatter in the background. But Leia's contractions started early and I am helping her organize the hospital bag. I will call you later. She did not. When I transferred to a 4-year university on a partial scholarship, my parents called it a nice little achievement. Their tone made it sound like finishing a crossword puzzle. Leia's wedding, though, was treated like a royal coronation. They floated through the reception hall like they had built it brick by brick. I stood near the bar while relatives told me how lucky I was to have a sister with such a perfect life, as if her shine somehow reflected on me. It did not. Not really. After I graduated with my engineering degree, after years of long nights and days where survival beat sleep every time, I waited quietly to see if anyone would notice. My mother congratulated me while pouring juice into a sippy cup for Leia's toddler. My father asked if I had any prospects, yet while Noah talked loudly about refinancing their house. No one asked how I did it alone. No one asked what I wanted next. By then I had finally stopped expecting space to open for me. Instead, I carved out my own. Small at first. A few investments. Strict budgeting. A quiet apartment with dim morning light that belonged entirely to me. My name was not on the wall of family photos. But it was on my lease. On my accounts. On my future. Looking back now, I can see the pattern as clearly as a blueprint. Every celebration, every crisis, every season, Leia was centered. I was orbiting. So when my mother told me over carved turkey that I was always last, it was not new information. It was just the first time the house actually said it out loud. The message came late on a Wednesday. A short line from my mother on the family group chat, family meeting Sunday. Important. No context, no question if I was free. It felt like an appointment, not an invitation. When I walked into the living room that weekend, the air was tight with quiet panic. Papers covered the coffee table. Past due notices. Bold red stamps. Printed statements with fluorescent yellow stripes. Leia sat on the couch, hands clasped. Noah avoided eye contact. My parents had pulled both recliners forward, their usual sign that a serious conversation was about to happen. My mother folded her hands. There has been a situation, she said. She explained that Leia and Noah were facing financial strain. Strain was a polite word. The mortgage was months behind. The kids' school tuition had not been paid. There was a legal issue with Noah that she rushed past so quickly the words almost blurred. He was not working. Every number on the page pointed toward the same thing. Collapse. My father sighed, tapping the stack of bills like it personally offended him. We have done the math. Your mother and I can cover part of it. But not all. Leia needs immediate help. I waited. I did not speak. I did not move. I wanted to see how long it took them to say the next part. Not long at all. My mother leaned forward. We expect you to take care of the rest, she said. You are single. You have a stable job. You do not carry the same expenses. It just makes sense. There it was again. The quiet truth laid bare. Leia first. Me last. Always. No one asked if I could afford any of this. No one asked if I already had commitments of my own. No one asked anything. They simply assumed. My father slid a printed list toward me. This is what needs to be covered immediately. Mortgage catch-up. Tuition payment. Retainer for legal fees. Then this much each month for a while. Numbers, highlighted in yellow. Expected. Assigned. Mine. Leia's voice trembled. We really need you, Liana. As if need itself was a currency I had been born to pay with. The room softened around the edges. The ticking clock on the wall. The hum of the refrigerator. The weight of 20-something years pressing on the same bruise. I did not explode. I did not explain. I just looked at the numbers, then at them, and let the silence sit. They expected me to fold. I will need 24 hours, I said. The drive home was strangely quiet. No music. No podcasts. Just the low hum of my old car and my mother's line looping through my mind with perfect clarity. You are always last. She had said it like it was casual. Like a joke. Like it did not sit inside my bones already. But that sentence had lived in our walls for years. It had shaped every choice they ever made. Now they wanted me to forget it because they needed something. I parked, locked the door behind me and stood in the stillness of my apartment. Clean. Sparse. Completely mine. A place built by my hands, my money, my decisions. For years I had quietly carried their expectations. I adapted, shifted, helped, paid, showed up. Because resisting felt pointless. They never listened. They just got louder. But the silence in that room now felt different. It did not feel like punishment. It felt charged. Clear. I opened my laptop. First, I checked my accounts. Checking. Savings. Investment portfolios. Retirement. The numbers did not surprise me. I knew them the way some people know birthdays. Years of controlled spending. Tight budgets. Automatic deposits into long-term funds. I had lived like someone who always expected to be forgotten. That discipline built a foundation no one in my family knew anything about. I started separating everything. New folders. New labels. Personal. Private. Secure. Then I pulled up statements. Months. Years. The whole archive. I dragged them into a fresh folder on my desktop. Independent. That is what I named it. It felt right. Behind me, I heard the door open. Ava walked in with a bag of takeout. She set it on the counter and watched me for a moment. She did not start with questions. She did not assume. She just came over and rested her hand gently on the back of my chair. You're not choosing against them, she said. You are choosing for yourself. I did not answer. But the words slid down my spine and settled everything into alignment. I opened a spreadsheet next. Columns. Formulas. Projections. I mapped out exactly what they were asking me to cover. Mortgage arrears. School tuition. Legal retainer. Monthly overflow to keep the whole thing from sinking again. Numbers do not lie. These were not a favor. They were a restructuring of my entire life to save choices I did not make. For years my parents had dressed this kind of pressure as love, responsibility, duty. You are family. You understand. You manage fine. But looking at the sheet in front of me, the truth was simple. I had been paying full price for a place I had never been allowed to sit. The cursor blinked. I added another column. Terms. If I helped, and I still was not sure I would, it would not be in the way they expected. Not as a sacrifice. Not as proof I still wanted a place in their system. I drafted the structure slowly. A loan with interest. A 5-year repayment plan. Mandatory financial counseling for Leia and Noah. Mandatory family therapy for all of us. Written acknowledgement of the favoritism I had lived under for nearly 3 decades. A new framework for any future request. Everything written. Everything clear. No more guilt disguised as love. Nothing vengeful. Everything fair. I printed the draft and set it aside. Then I went after the smaller leaks. The things I had allowed for years without thinking. I opened my banking apps and removed every auto payment linked to my family. Old subscriptions. Shared services. Little bits of money that had been quietly leaving my account to hold up a structure that never once held me back. Delete. Confirm. Delete. Confirm. Each confirmation felt like someone lifting another stone off my chest. Next, I opened my email and typed out a message. Short. Clean. No drama. I did not send it yet. I saved it as a draft. If things escalate, I told myself, this goes out. I read it one more time. I will not assume responsibility for decisions I did not make. My apartment was quiet except for the gentle hum of the heater kicking on. Ava moved to the couch, folding her legs beneath her, watching me without interrupting. There was no pity in her face. Just recognition. You have been holding your breath your whole life, she said softly. Tonight is the first time I have seen you exhale. Maybe she was right. My jaw ached less. My shoulders felt lower. I gathered the printed pages into a neat stack and slid them into a plain folder. No dramatic label. No big title. Just order. I pictured the next day. My parents leaning forward. Leia wringing her hands. Noah rehearsing excuses. All of them assuming my 24 hours had been spent trying to find a painless way to give them everything. They had no idea my silence was not submission this time. It was preparation. I closed the folder. I was not angry anymore. Anger needs hope. Hope that someone will finally see you, choose you, treat you differently. I was done hoping for that. Now I only wanted truth, structure, and a life that belonged to me. Ava's voice softened. What happens tomorrow? I slid the folder into my bag. I tell them, I said, that I do not fix what they break anymore. They were already seated when I arrived. Same living room. Same recliners pulled forward. Same stack of bills on the coffee table like offerings at an altar built for panic. But this time, something had shifted. I was not walking in with guilt. I was walking in with a folder. Ava walked beside me, quiet, steady. She sat near the window. She was not there to fight. She was just there so I did not have to stand in that room alone. My mother folded her hands. Good, you are here, she said. We can sort it all out now. My father let out a breath of relief. We knew you would come through, Liana. Leia gave me a small, trembling smile. We really appreciate this. They were all thanking me for a decision I had not made. I sat down, placed the folder on the table and opened it. Bank statements. Investment summaries. Retirement allocations. Options agreements. All neatly arranged. The mood in the room shifted. My mother leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. What is all this? I slid one page toward her. Context. My father picked up another page. His eyes moved line by line. The rustle of paper was the only sound. He stopped halfway through. It was not just the balance that stunned him. It was the realization that he knew absolutely nothing about my life. Nothing about what I had built while they were busy pretending I would always be there as a backup plan. Every lazy assumption they had about who I was cracked right there in his hands. My mother's voice turned thin. Why did you never tell us you were doing all this? Because, I said, you never asked. Silence dropped, sharp and absolute. I reached for the next document. The loan terms. I slid that forward. Noah leaned in, brow furrowed. Is this a contract? I nodded. If you want financial help, it will not be blind sacrifice. It will be structure. My mother recoiled like I had slapped her. Structure for family, she said. For adults, I answered. Family or not. My father scanned the page. 5-year repayment, interest, monthly installments, financial counseling. His voice cracked on the last part. It is standard, I said. If I help, it is to make sure you do not need me again in the same way. Leah stared at me, eyes wide and wounded. You are making us sign something, she whispered. We are your family. You made me responsible for your decisions, I said calmly. This prevents that from happening again. Noah opened his mouth. This feels fair. I cut in. He stopped. Then finally nodded, staring down at the paper. There is more, I said. I turned to my parents. You will attend therapy, I said. Not so we can scream at each other, but so we can finally name the system we have all been living in. My mother stiffened. We are not dysfunctional. You told me I was always last, I reminded her. That was not healthy communication. That was dysfunction speaking out loud. She looked away. And, I added, there will be public acknowledgement. At the next family gathering, you will speak about the favoritism. The imbalance. The way expectations landed on me and not on anyone else. You will say it out loud where everyone hears it. My father shook his head. This is humiliating. It is honest, I said. Humiliation only happens when the truth is heavier than the story you have been telling yourself. No one liked that. I could see it in their faces. But no one could argue. Finally, I pushed the last sheet toward them. This is what you asked me to cover, I said. Mortgage catch-up. Tuition. Legal retainer. These numbers are yours. This is the cost of your choices. The pages sat between us, quiet and unforgiving. My mother's voice turned small. You really will not help unless we agree to all of this? I met her eyes. I said, good to know, at Thanksgiving, I told her. I meant it. Once I understood my place in this family, I stopped standing in it. If I am always last here, then I have to be first in my own life. That is the only way this works. No one spoke. I took a pen from my bag and set it on top of the contract. It rolled a little, then stilled. You have 24 hours, I said. The same time you gave me. My father swallowed. And if we say no? I stood. Ava stood with me. If you say no, I said, you handle your own emergencies the way I have always handled mine. I walked to the door. The room stayed frozen behind me. 6 months passed before I stepped inside that house again. Not for a crisis. Not for a demand. For our final family therapy session. The changes did not happen overnight. But they happened. Leah and Noah signed the terms. Every installment arrived on the same day each month. No excuses. No dramatic calls. Just quiet payments. Financial counseling reshaped them more than they expected. Their spending got quieter. Their decisions got sharper. They stopped talking like their needs were the center of the universe and everyone else was orbiting. My parents changed too, but slower, like ice thawing. In therapy, Dr. Miriam did not let them run from words. We talked about patterns. Imbalance. Expectations. Truths they had pushed aside for decades. My mother cried the first time. She managed to say, we did not see you. My father cried the first time he actually believed that was true. I was not angry anymore. I was not waiting for anything. My life had widened out from under their shadow. I had moved into a brighter apartment in the city. Tall windows. Morning light that felt like a new start instead of a negotiation. My desk held only what mattered, my laptop and a mug and a small plant Ava brought home one Saturday. Every new chapter should have something living, she said. We spent slow Sundays exploring neighborhoods. We talked about our futures without checking how much space my family's emergencies would take up. She never asked me to shrink. I never expected her to rescue me. We just met each other in the middle. Two grown people building a life without ghosts pulling on the edges. On quiet nights, I cooked while she read on the couch. Sometimes she would look up and tell me, "You seem lighter." And I would realize she was right. My shoulders were no longer curled inward. My hands were no longer clenched around invisible obligations. Silence did not feel like punishment anymore. It felt like air. The loan statements from Leia and Noah sat in a folder in my drawer. Organized. Not emotional. Proof that fairness could exist where chaos used to live. Before we left our last session, Dr. Miriam looked at all of us and said, "This is a family learning to walk differently. And Liana, you were the one who changed the ground beneath them." Driving home, the evening light stretched across the road like a soft net. My apartment waited, quiet and warm and mine. For the first time in my life, nothing in my space felt borrowed. I put my keys on the table, the metal tapping gently against the wood. Nothing like the shiny car keys my sister once held in the driveway, surrounded by cameras and applause. This set was plain. Earned. Chosen. The window was open just enough for the evening air to slide through the room, steady and cool. Ava hummed softly in the kitchen. A sound that did not demand anything from me. Families do not always change because they want to. Sometimes they change because someone stops carrying the weight for them. I believed my parents when they told me I was always last. That is exactly when I decided I would be first in my own life.